Kia ora, and welcome aboard Koru Wilderness Images half-day photography tour of Porter's Pass. My name's Alan, and I'll be your host for this trip. We begin our tour by heading west out of Christchurch on State Highway 73, also known as the West Coast Road. Along the way we'll pass through lush Canterbury farmlands and through numerous settlements such as West Melton, Darfield and Springfield, to name but a few. And along the way, as our trip progresses, we'll do our best to bring you some interesting tidbits of information about the locality that we're driving through and some of the places that we're going to take photos. But in the meantime, sit back, relax and enjoy the ride, and we'll get back to you with those interesting commentary as we go. Our first stop for this trip will be at Aylesbury Corner, which is about 20 minutes west of here, where there is a lookout point alongside the Midland rail line with good views of the Southern Alps. Now, Aylesbury itself did originally have its own railway station, but it was destroyed in a series of storms in 1976. We'll also be very close to the epicentre of the 7.1 magnitude earthquake that hit Canterbury in September 2010 and started a chain of events that included the earthquakes that hit Christchurch through much of the following year. Now we're just making our way through West Melton now, one of a number of sleeper towns, dormitory communities that feed workers into Christchurch City during the week. We're just coming up to Aylesbury Corner now for our first stop. Make sure you got your cameras handy. You never know when a train's going to come along, particularly one of the big coal trains, which we'll tell you a bit more about later on. Well, that was pretty cool, don't you think? Oh, great timing. You don't get to see that view very often. Both coal train and the Southern Alps. That was pretty cool, don't you think? Yeah, so there's regular coal trains that run between Christchurch, well actually Lyttleton Harbour, and the West Coast, consisting of 2 locomotives and up to 30 coal wagons. When they come back with those coal wagons full, that whole train weighs nearly 1,800 tonnes. Right, well, we'll push on now towards our next stop, just west of Springfield, with some great views of Mount Torles and Utarama Peak, weather permitting, although somehow I don't think that will be a problem today. Now we're just coming into Darfield now, folks. Now Darfield is a regional farming hub. They have a good range of farming equipment, stores and supplies, and they cover off a significant portion of Canterbury. Now Darfield is also one of those dormitory or sleeper towns that I was referring to earlier, providing a number of people who work in Christchurch. And just coming into and passing through Sheffield now, Sheffield being another one of those small farming communities. Now if time permits, on the way back, just coming up on the left here is the locally famous Sheffield pie shop. We might have to stop for a wee pie on the way back if time permits. And just coming into Springfield now. Now Springfield has made a bit of a name for itself as a good rest point and dropping off point for outdoor activities, particularly within the Koru Tussocklands Park, and for a number of ski fields found in the area just outside of Porter's Pass, such as Porter's Ski Area, Broken River, Mount Cheeseman and Craigieburn, to name but a few. And as mentioned earlier, just through Springfield, we'll make a quick stop here, and hopefully we can get some great photos of Mount Torless and Odorama Peak. As I mentioned earlier, no problem with the weather, so hopefully you can get something that's pretty worthwhile for you. Okay folks, we're going to carry on now towards Porter's Pass, but as always we'll pop up with some interesting commentary along the way. In the meantime, sit back, relax, enjoy the ride, and we'll get back to you shortly. We're just coming up to the one-lane Koru River Bridge. We may need to stop here briefly just to let other traffic through from the other end. As I said, it is a one-lane bridge. Hopefully one day they'll put control lights here, but they don't seem to be needed just yet due to the relatively low volume of traffic. And as we make our way around this corner onto the next straight ahead of us will be Benmore, which is part of the Ben Range and also part of the Koru Tussocklands Conservation Park, which borders both sides of the road ahead of us, encompassing some 21,000 hectares. Now from here we follow the Koru River for about 5 kilometres before we branch off at Coach Stream to begin the climb up Porter's Pass. As we begin our climb up the hill here, just crossing over Coach Stream now around this rather tight little corner, it's worth noting that Porter's Pass is actually higher than its better known cousin Arthur's Pass, and is the third highest section of state highway in the South Island after the Lyndon Pass further south and the Milford Sound Road. Consequently, although partly due to its east-west orientation as well, it is more prone to snow and icing conditions in winter than Arthur's Pass itself. Now, for those of you that are wondering how Porter's Pass got its name, the pass itself was named by the Porter brothers who farmed nearby in the mid-19th century. Now, as we come round the corner and over the top of the pass, that's Mount Lyndon and Cloudy Hill straight ahead of us, with the Craigieburn Range tucked in behind them. We're just approaching the bottom of the hill now, and our next stop at Lake Lyndon. Lake Lyndon just hiding around the corner out of sight from us at the moment. Now, the lake frequently freezes over in winter, but in the right conditions the lake can also be a perfect mirror for its surroundings. And once upon a time the Midland Railway line, which goes across the west coast, was very nearly put through this valley, which would have made Lake Lyndon a scenic viewpoint. But fortunately for us, the railway line was put through further north, and Lake Lyndon was left for us to enjoy its beauty. Okay folks, just another couple of kilometres and we'll stop above Dry Stream at a good lookout point. Unfortunately we can't go any further on this, our half-day tour of Porters, but if you do want to go any further we can certainly look at booking you in on one of our full-day or indeed overnight Arthur's Pass tours. But in the meantime, anyone want to hazard a guess as to why it's called Dry Stream? And I'll leave that to your imagination to work out. It looks like I'm going to have to move pretty smartly here. I want to get another photo of that truck before he disappears out of sight round the next few corners. Okay, if everyone's had their fill, let's head back up Porter's Pass for our next stop, and of course some more cool photography. Okay folks, just about at the top here, we're going to pull into our left at the Porter's Pass summit. Might better grab a jacket or something before you jump out of the vehicle. It can quite often be quite a chilly breeze, and it can get a bit cold at times. So grab that jacket, grab your cameras, and we'll pop out here and we'll see what we can see. Right then folks, if everyone's happy, let's move on back down the pass with a couple more stops before we reach the bottom to take in a few more views. Alright, in just a moment we're going to pull over again to the left, and if you look out to your left and down the road, and if we've timed it right, you might get a photo or two of some trucks working their way up the hill. A great way to lend some scale to your photos and to impress your friends with your photography skills. Okay, great work team. Now we're just going to move down the hill a little bit further. Again, we'll be pulling over to the left, but this time if you look out more directly to your left, you'll be able to look straight up the Koru River Valley, and hopefully we can get some great views of the back of Mount Torles, especially when it's mantled in winter snow, as it is on this occasion. Kinda hard to see what's on the LCD screen when you're looking directly into the sun. Alright guys, great work. Hey, just a little further down the hill for another quick stop. This time we're going to see if we can capture some photos looking down the Koru River Valley at the Russell Range, and hopefully have some vehicles coming round the hairpin corner across the Coach Stream Bridge down below and ahead of us. Another good way to add a sense of scale to a grand landscape. And if we work it just right, we should be just about be able to catch these two cars coming up the hill as they come around the corner and across the bridge. Alright, nice one guys. Let's head off again now for a quick stop at Sheffield, because I need a Sheffield pie. They are a bit of yum. Straight after that we'll be turning off State Highway 73 onto the Waimakariri Gorge Road for some more interesting photos around the Waimakariri Gorge and the historic one-lane bridge. A paddock full of sheep. They can make quite a nice shot with the mountain backdrop. Let's just pop in here for a moment. Alright, Sheffield Pie Shop, here we come. And that's our shop just up there on the right ahead of us. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. If anybody else wants one, you're more than welcome to join me. Alright, well, I'm happy now. I had my pie. Sorry you couldn't see it, it was too good to wait, so I ate it before I jumped back in the van. Alright, next stop Waimakariri Gorge Bridge, so we'll just pop off to the left here and round onto the Waimakariri Gorge Road. Well, welcome to the Waimakariri Gorge Scenic Reserve and Lookout. Now please do not go in the river. The current here is rather strong and can catch out an unwary person very, very easily. It can be quite hard to get out of the river again too. So again, please do not go in the river. Now, the Waimakariri Gorge Bridge above us was constructed in 1876 and up until the 1930s it even carried a railway line across it. Now, the piers on the bridge are between 28 and 33 metres high and they're made out of cast iron with a concrete filling. Alright, well that was a bit of fun. Let's head off now, back up to and across the bridge, and we'll grab a couple of last photos from the top of the bridge. Just watching out for traffic, of course. Now, of course, the Waimakariri Gorge Bridge is a one-lane bridge, as you can see. We're just going to stop here for a moment and let this car through coming the other way before we carry on. Alright team, well I guess we're on the road again. Heading off now to our final stop at the Waimakariri River Regional Park on the Christchurch outskirts for our final stop of the day. here we are. Welcome to the Waimakariri Regional Park. This will be our last stop for today, so let's enjoy it, especially in this weather. Fantastic. Alright, nice one. Hey, I hope you all managed to get some great photos for yourselves and that you enjoyed the trip. Everyone's appears to be on board, so let's head back into Christchurch City to wind up our afternoon. Well, that's pretty much it, folks, as we head back into the city. Big thank you to you all for joining us. We hope you got something out of it. I know I did. We'd love to have you join us for another tour in the future, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.